Welcome to Stop the Bleeding, the $500,000 pricing leak every distributor must fix now. We are very excited that you've made the time to join us today, and we want you to know that Intualize focuses on distribution only. So this is very targeted and focused for your business, and we look forward to sharing this information with you.
Yeah, I love your welcome, Phil. It sounds your voice. It's really strong today. I like that part. All right. So thank you everyone for joining, for making the time. This is going to be our journey today. So you have Phil Samuels and myself. Phil has been working in distribution a couple of decades in different functions, mainly on the sales side. He joined Intelize a couple of years ago, and it's been a pleasure to work side to side with him. My name is Nelson Valderrama. I'm the founder of Intelize. I had around 28, 29 years of experience in the distribution industry. I started my career back in the late 90s working for GE, where I learned analytics. I worked then for a private equity firm based on Los Angeles, buying distribution businesses. And then after that, I started my own company in 2018 to help out small and mid-sized distributors, to improve the bottom line. So our journey today, turning radical uncertainty into opportunity. Phil asked me where I pulled this quote. I don't remember. If anyone in the audience happen to know the author, let me know, and I will put the author. I don't know who's the author, but I like it because definitely we are living radical uncertainty with everything between tariffs and supply chain, economic, labor. It seems that we are in the perfect storm. We want to see this as an opportunity. So basically, we wanted to go over these three topics with you guys. One is to stop firefighting, pricing cows, consuming your best people time. The second one is turning complexity in competitive advantage in 90 days, and we'll give you kind of some framework on this one, and how can achieve 90% teen adoption through systematic approach. So we said this is a workshop, so you guys will see that Phil and I were going to interact. Also in the Zoom webinar, you guys can see the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. So feel free to add any questions there, and Phil and I will respond those questions at the end of the workshop. All right. So let's go, Phil. This is your favorite slide.
Indeed, it is. When we put this together, this is the result of speaking to many, many prospects and many current clients. And they reveal things sometimes, not from a direct question, but just as a matter of course, sharing their situation with us. And we find that these are effectively confessions. They're unconscious admissions of issues facing the company. So, for instance, firefighting manual updates instead of strategic growth. Everybody knows that when you get a new cost file from your suppliers, or you want to update the pricing in your ERP or your e-commerce sites, there's a lot of manual activity that takes place. And what is the trickiest, and the next quote is about applying the business rules and the pricing rules to that update process. So obviously you have some guidance from the folks who are your suppliers, but you also have rules that you put in place for your customers based on their standing with your organization. And perhaps the quote that I'm closest to is, if I never see a spreadsheet again, it will be too soon. Everybody who is involved in this process, I've had people tell me I am the master of spreadsheets, and they just can't stand it. It's tedious. It's prone to making mistakes. If you're off one line, every answer is wrong after that. So there are lots of opportunities for errors and inefficiency. And when you do load supplier pricing, it's a massive amount of data. And so in the process of doing that, you're loading many times items that are in the supplier catalog that you don't necessarily stock. And when you're in that situation, there are loads and loads and loads of information that are being processed, and it can be very difficult, as someone described, a pain in the butt. And and if we keep moving at the pace we're moving, we're concerned that it could take years to get where we want to go. So
Yeah.
part of this workshop is to give you some ideas on ways that you can short circuit that and do things more efficiently and more effectively.
Yeah, and we have more quotes. I mean, we go through a confession list. We can spend 45 minutes with a bunch of slides what we have here from customer prospects, right? But at the end of the day, what we believe is that all this is what is driving your team crazy. And actually, this is driving your margins down, right? But again, we wanted to pose the question to you guys for whatever you are, experiencing here. So that's kind of the confession part. Let's go into the manual work.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we see frequently is that in order to do a lot of these manual processes, it takes a senior person to be involved. The systems that enabled your early success as a distributorship uh, also are not designed for the modern situation, and now they constrain your growth. And you don't want to disrupt your relationships with your customers. You your team is familiar with the current processes, even though they're inefficient. It scares them to consider changing. And ultimately, we see this over and over again where there are a handful of key people that
Hmm.
have what we call the tribal knowledge.
Yeah.
And when those folks aren't available, if they're on vacation or whatever, that creates a bottleneck and
Yeah.
issues there.
Yeah, and what we try to do here for the audience, right? Why this is a workshop? Because we try to organize these different symptoms over here in three buckets, right? The growth paradox, the resource misallocation crisis, the scaling trap. And again, we'll send this over and you guys can read it, right? But we just wanted to give a couple of points, or that's what Phil is doing right now, because we want you guys to reflect on this, right? In terms of these three buckets, what are the two kind of areas where you can see more often distributors falling into, Phil, that is really painful for them?
Well, I think that the resource misallocation, which is the next point,
Yeah,
where there are senior members doing the work that could be done by entry level employees,
yeah,
because it's basically data entry.
yeah,
Uh, but you have to have a deep understanding of where those prices are coming from and what the impact is on the business. So uh, companies can lose 75 to $200,000 by having senior level people doing the work that could be done by folks, or even better, by AI.
hmm,
Um, and
yeah,
then in the end, the scaling trap is, it's people do these processes and they don't see the inefficiency, and so therefore they think, well, if it isn't broke, why would I fix it?
yeah.
But um, at the end of the day, there are people coming into your business now who understand that automation can have a real impact, and you need to listen to them, even though you've always done it another way.
Yeah, exactly. So the first, I would say, task for you guys here after the workshop or when you are, listening to this is your next huddle, your next business meeting, your next strategic meeting, your next SEO meeting, whatever is the meetings that you have, is to really ask these questions. Is our company falling into any of these three buckets? And is that pulling our best people, right, into manual work? Again, I want to challenge everyone here on this workshop on trying to do that because that's going to be really helpful for you guys to understand if you are there or not, right? So let's go to the gross margin leak calculator. I mean, we have a couple of finance and CFOs people here filling the workshop, and I'm pretty sure they will be interested on this. So let's walk through this.
I'll bet those finance people know about waterfall charts,
Yeah,
and that's what we have represented here. So if you start out with a base price, the
right here.
three elements that we frequently see that are eroding our margins are the delay in execution of updating prices in your ERP, or the vendor cost from coming in, the weak execution, which is frequently taking longer than is necessary to put those in place, or doing it unsystematically where you just update it as those items are ordered. And then finally, the price overrides from the sales team. Now, what's critical to understand about this is these are not outside forces. These are all things you control internally. And this could represent, in this case, 15.4% of your margin being lost.
Exactly. And we put it here. And again, this is something that you guys can do yourself. If you guys are interested, please reach out to us. We have a good, benchmark of how to do this with, other, with the data that you have, and you'll be able to figure out, how this will play out. So these are a couple of examples. Go ahead, Phil.
Yes. So the examples here, you see an array of distributors from 15 million to 176 million. And again, the same three elements that you control: the delayed execution, the weak execution, and the price overrides. And you'll see that it affects different size businesses differently. Yeah. This is an example. It doesn't mean that every business will be impacted exactly the same way. But for instance, the large distributor is pretty efficient on the delay. They have processes or people that they can throw at this to make sure that the costs are always updated. Unfortunately, because the execution is frequently done manually, there's a great opportunity to create misinformation and lose accuracy. So,
and on this one, again, I wanted to mention, this is going to be different for each company. These are just examples that we pull, masking data. But again, just going back to what Phil said, is how this is important. How can you do this internally? Is for you to calculate, or help us out, for you to calculate this delay, weak execution, and price override. So what is your annual leakage, right? What is the potential of your annual leakage, right? And you finance people will say, again, okay, let's say we do that, how we can fix that. So we'll be talking about that, but the importance of this is the diagnosis, understanding where it's coming from. In this case, this company that Phil described, there is no problem here. I mean, they are doing either manually or they have something automated. The big challenge here is, the weak execution. That means that they are not able to pass through all the cost increases, or they are doing in a no fashion manner. And a lot of time has to do with the poor price governance, right? When you have a lot of people with a lot of opinions, with a very lengthy process or broken process to make that happen, and that's going to be your leakage. And in top of that, you have people overriding that price. So that's the whole idea in this gross margin leak calculator. So for you to have it, and this when it's Phil said, this is just internal issues, right? I mean, we talk about this with different customers, and they say, well, my vendors, the current administration, the impact of this metal, whatever, this nothing has to do with it. This is you doing it. So this is something that you can control. And this is what a lot of the distributors that we work with, we like it because they wanted to focus on those things that they can control. All right. So gross margin leakage calculator. Let's go to the next one, which is the complexity, right? And the complexity here is the complexity trap, what we see over and over with some of the distributors. And I will give you 3 different examples for 3 different verticals of distribution. And what I wanted to show to you is what is the initial request that we got from them? What is what we found out when we started collaborating with them, and how we were able to overcome those challenges, right? And we're putting this out here so you guys can get a flavor on the challenge that they have, so you can reflect of maybe challenges that you are having today. So this Janssen distributor came to us and said, I just need basic pricing optimization for the product groups that we have already in Acumatic. Reality is that they have more than 2,600 products missing essential data to make this happen. There was a complex Acumatica integration that they went through, right? And there was months of manual cleanup that they have to do, right? They didn't realize that when we reach out to us, but working with us, they were able to figure out and say, now I understand why I cannot make this happen by myself. So that's what we help them out. We went to the collaborative problem solving process. We have a phase implementation that they love it. That way we have good adoption. and also they see significant margin there. So that's one example. Let's go to the industrial distributor. They came to us and said, we just want to get our pool pricing right. They want to be competitive and, for thousands of products that they have. And it seems like an easy ask, right? So we start digging into the data, talking about knowledge transfer and so forth. And this simple request became a massive decision tree when we start pulling all the different business rules about product groups and margins and dollar thresholds and ceiling from vendors. It was a massive part that they found out why they were able to do it by themselves, right? And the complex customer segmentation that they used to have. We have a systematic approach with them to go over this one. We did automated frameworks with them so they can see how these play out using the ERP system that they have, and they got 120K and 93% adoption. The last one is a faster distributor says, help us stop living in spreadsheets. And nothing wrong with the spreadsheets. I use spreadsheets all day long. It's just about the tool that you use, right? And a spreadsheet is great for a certain size of company, but the moment that you start with certain complexity, spreadsheets can really tricky. So we found out that they have manual updates, they have this reactive whoops bombing, and they have no team adoption strategy. So what I wanted to highlight here, this was beyond spreadsheets. I mean, they thought that the issue was technology. The issue was not technology. The issue was that they didn't have a way to do change management. They didn't know exactly, how the people were behaving. So we went and we helped them out with change management, automate some of the processes, and they got 87% adoption rate, and they have best year ever. So again, wanted to describe this to you on the complexity trap that maybe you guys are falling into, right on here. So let's go now. One of the biggest things that we see when you are in these, tariff, pricing cows. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, this is my biggest fear as a salesperson. So when you have customers that are experiencing issues, they don't always come and talk to you about it. They don't always make it known to you, irrespective of the kind of relationship you have with them. So, for instance, if you're giving different prices for the same product across quotes or personnel, I worked at a company one time where we had so many inside salespeople that you could call in 3 times and get 3 different prices. Or in a given time period, maybe the quotes don't hold consistently. The next one is the idea that creates confusion. So that makes the customer think, okay, if I can't depend on the price, are we really getting the best deal? Am I really being treated the way I should be for a long time standing as a supporter of this company? And then that trust erodes silently, and you wind up having damage to that relationship that, again, isn't necessarily verbalized. And so at the end, what happens? Those customers begin to be more active in looking for alternatives. We all know that our customers shop us and look at different alternatives for many of their orders. But at the end of the day, if it stops being you're my primary supplier and I need 2 other prices, and becomes I want to see who's got the best deal with these 2 people, that's much trickier.
Yeah, and again, we have been in a couple of roundtables, Phil and myself, talking with customers and prospects, and I would say most of them, I would say more than 90% of them, when we ask them these questions about how they are, having these conversations with customers of the tariffs, they told us that they know that some of their customers are shopping around. This is a great opportunity to shop around because all the increases, they wanted to make sure they're getting the best deal out there somehow. So besides the, leak that you may have in your finances, besides, all the manual work that is happening to your team, this is the other part, and definitely this is the lifeblood of your business, the customer side. So we wanted to share this with you, and again, it's a workshop. So we wanted to present to you is a couple of framework that you can use when you're having these discussions internally.
So we're all faced with the competitive situation every day, but it's a little bit different when your competitors have singled you out and said, these folks are having some trouble with consistency in pricing, or their customers are looking at us more frequently. So they begin to go through this process of a high impact but low visibility, where your customer starts looking at alternatives and the damage is happening without you even being aware of it. And then from a high impact, high visibility situation, those customers start questioning your reliability. And if they get to this point where the relationship is vulnerable, they're actually 3 times more likely to consider alternative suppliers on a more permanent basis. And then with high visibility and low impact, you have customers that can, or competitors now, that say, okay, our pricing is predictable, our pricing is professional, our pricing is consistent. And this is something that you can depend on when you're doing your bids or doing your work, and makes them a more viable alternative.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you guys can use this framework. Very simple, straightforward framework. What you guys can do is you can pull your customer portfolio, right? If you are a salesperson, or you are an inside sales, outside sales, you are a leader in sales, you are a VP of sales, you are an owner, regardless of your position, right? You can pull the list of your customers. Hopefully you have a segmentation, right, that you have done. If not, that's something that we can help you with. And I think we have a couple of documents that we can share with you how to make that happen. But you pull this list, doesn't matter if it's 100 customers, 500 customers, 1,000 customers. And the idea is for you guys to understand where those customers are within these 3 buckets, right? Unless you are selling a product that you are the only distributor in the world, so you have a monopoly and there is no one that can source that anywhere. Maybe your case, fantastic, that's a great business model. The rest of the world, we are competing. So the whole idea is, where do you think those customers are going to fit here? And I ask this, and I want to prompt this question to you is, how often are you or your salespeople asking the tough questions to your customers? For example, I did this before when I was running distribution business. I went to a couple of customers and I asked, guys, can you tell me who are our competitors? Some of them were shy and say, well, you know the list. I say, no, I don't know the list. Can you tell me who is the list? So they give me some names out there, sometimes, not all the time. And I ask them, what are they doing better than us, right? Sometimes they wanted to share, but sometimes they do. And they start describing a couple of things, right, that it provides some feedback to us, right? It could be a face-to-face, could be video calls, it could be an email. I mean, there are different channels that you can use. But the whole idea is for you to understand where is the visibility and where is the impact, right? So if you have a core account that is extremely important to you and you don't have visibility on that, and this is a silent evaluation that is happening and they're shopping around and all that, you may lose this account. I lose accounts that way, and it was really painful because you felt completely blindsided, but because you didn't have visibility of those ones. So this is happening. How many accounts during this, after this workshop, you can go and, figure out. If you don't know, you're in trouble, because you need to start calculating this part. If you have high visibility and high impact, which is this relationship vulnerability, that's something that definitely you need to make sure. When I talk with our customers, I will say all of the owners that we work with, they are in very contact with the customer space, right? They are talking with them, visiting them, and making sure this is working out. I think that's just a best practice that everyone will have it, right? And here, just it is what it is, right? Which, even though you have high visibility, you know that is going to happen and you need to choose your battle. So that's how you can use this framework. All right. So now that we talk about margin leakage, we talk about how that is impacting as well your employees or your top talent on manual work. We describe how this impacting your customers. Let's start going to implementations, right? Why things work. Because maybe you are thinking, hey, Nelson, this is not the first, or Phil, this is not the first time that we hear this. We have been listening to this. We have been, going back to late 90s about strategic pricing, and all that. And again, why you guys think that this time is going to be different? And this is the question that I think all of the owners, all the leaders are asking. Will my team actually use this? And you can put CRM, pricing, operation, management, whatever you wanted to use, right? And we wanted to describe to you guys in our experience the implementation failure and the root causes that we found out, right? During when we talk with our customers or prospects, or the previous failures or the failures that we have, in other companies that we worked for. So the first one is guesswork implementation. So we go with the customer or prospect. We said, have you implemented pricing or any other technology in the past? Yes, but it failed. Why it failed? And I asked them, do you have a roadmap? Do you have a timeline? Do you have a project plan? Anything that helped me understand how the implementation was done. Typically, they don't have that. It's a bunch of emails, it's a bunch of correspondence, but there's nothing organized. That makes me believe that was kind of a guesswork sometimes. The second one is change management, neglect. This means that when I'm asking them, okay, once you know what is the goal that you wanted to achieve, can you describe to me what is your change management process in your organization? And this happened in distributors of $10 million or $500 million. It doesn't matter. I asked this question, and few of them can articulate how they manage the change in their organization. They say, well, I tell my people, I have just this meeting, I send this email, but there is an orchestration that happened to make that happen, which lead me to the next point. I asked them, do you guys know how it's going to be impacting your team? Let me give you an example with one of our customers. I asked the owner, what do you think is going to happen when we implement the new pricing? And he said, well, Nelson, we have a good portion of our salespeople that are old school. They are not going to like it because they have been setting margins at 23% for the last 10 years. So 23.5 is going to be too much for them. But in the other side, we have a lot of new people that we are training, and they don't want to memorize pricing. They wanted to have pricing that is suggested in the ERP and they can use. So this is a psychology, right? That you need to be aware of it when you're doing change management. You may know who is going to be the people that are going to be the person that's going to push back the most, and who is going to be the people that are going to jump in there. Technical focus, that's another thing. When we talk about some of these projects, and I ask customers or prospects what they fail, and we're going to the root causes, is that they assign a person that is not technical to a technical stuff. For example, they have the operations guy because he's the more techie, seeing what's going on with the implementation of the ERP system. That may work, that may not work if he or she is not proficient on that one. So the idea is to have technical focus with technical business. The next one is methodology absence. So I said, when you do this kind of implementation, which kind of methodology do you use? And they say, what do you mean? Yeah, what do you use? Do you use sprint? Do you use sprints? Do you go through a project plan? Do you go? Can you tell me there is no methodology? It's like, no, we're just doing this way. And that gives me to the next one, which is they say, you know what, I pulled this from this magazine, this study, whatever, and I just, use it. And that's not bad, but in our experience, every single approach is very tailored to your company because you guys are going through specific things on your lifetime. So again, this is why implementation failure happened. Now, what is what we do? And again, this is what we call our adoption engine. And I'm going to describe to you guys 5 things that we do and that you guys can, review and explore and maybe helpful, not just for implementing any price optimization, but as well as any technology project that you have. The first one is data-driven foundation and tribal knowledge. So let me decompose these 2 ones. Data-driven is extremely important, which is pulling data from ERP, CRMs, whatever you have in, and try to understand really what is the issue that you have, really diagnose what is the problem, the root cause, and going to that one. But the second one, what is extremely important, is the tribal knowledge, which is all these, I would say, experiences and all these business rules that your team has been building over the decades, right? So let's get, Phil is one example of them. When Phil was, working for these different distributors, when he walked away from that door, he took a massive amount of tribal knowledge that he had about vendors and distributors and parts and, everything in between. And I don't think their companies were able to capture that tribal knowledge. So what we do with our distributors when we're talking about pricing or inventory is that we capture that tribal knowledge that they have been accumulating over the years, and we put it in different diagrams and flows. And when we present it to owners, they get like, wow, this is amazing. This is the first time they're able to see in one page all the different decisions that we made to make that happen. So that's extremely important. The second one is collaborative expertise. So the idea here is that we don't know your business as well as you do. We don't know your customers, your products, your vendors, the business dynamics, market dynamics as you do, but we know distribution. And the whole idea is how can we collaborate with you to extract the information that is important, to explore the problems, to explore the solutions, and decide what is the best course of action for you. The third one is systematic change management. For those people that have worked with me and that have been, listening to me, they know that I love this part. Systematic, right? This is something that you need to understand what is your team psychology and how are you going to foster that confidence through the process, right? And this is going to be different from different organizations. It depends a lot on your culture, in your time, and so forth. The next one is, confidence building, which is quite important because you need to create that momentum so people can see the wins and they can see things are happening and say, yeah, high five, let's keep working on that one. And the last one is, proving that 90-day pattern, which is you go through all this process and hopefully between 60, 90 days, you start seeing patterns and people start really getting in tune with the changes and they are going, go to the other side, right? And seeing the results. So Phil, I know we talk about this and I think you have a couple of comments here for the audience. Go ahead.
I do. I think the two that I like to focus on are the data-driven foundation, tribal knowledge, and the confidence building. And from the data-driven foundation, obviously, you have a massive amount of information about the things you've sold to customers, the prices you've sold them for, when you sold them, some kind of seasonality, all those sorts of things. And then the tribal knowledge for folks who might be of my generation, who are about to walk out the door. And so if you can get it into the data and get the business rules and get the pricing rules into the data, then when that person walks out the door, you're not left to guess. The other side of this is the confidence building. We like to say that we are 100% confident that the technology will work. We aren't 100% confident that the distributor will adopt the technology. And that adoption comes from confidence when they see how it's put together, when they see all the considerations that went into building the pricing, and then they start having some positive experiences, and then they feel like, okay, they can let go of this. The machine learning and the AI is doing its job.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. So how you can use this, the way you can do this, you can go back this year, last year, and you can go over the last one, last three, as many as you can on the projects that you have done. And you can go and say, oh, you know what? I wanted to see my projects, if they fail, if there is any of these things that were absent in order for us to make happen. You can do that. That's a retrospective. What we call is looking into the past and learning from your past experiences that didn't work out. And then you can go over this one and say, okay, if I were able to use any of this or all of this, it is going to help me out for the next project that I have in order to be successful, right? So I would use 1 minute to go into the data-driven foundation and tribal knowledge for all of you guys here, especially on the sales, product side, and operations, to give you an idea of what we meant. Phil has been working for years in the cutting tool industry, and we have a lot of industrial distributors that we serve. And I have this conversation with him. So for example, Phil, if we go into a product group that has different sizes, right, of stuff, right? And I think I talked to you about this many, many times. And I said, Phil, even though our model is telling that is the same product with the same finish, but has different sizes, right? And those sizes could be priced differently. You have said to me, well, Nelson, you can do that, but how the buyer is buying those products, they feel that needs to be the same pricing. So can you give me 30 seconds of explanation here to everyone what matters, the data-driven foundation that we do in any price optimization, with the tribal knowledge that you have? So just to give an example to everyone, go ahead, please.
Well, I think the easy one that I always point to is if you're talking about twist drills,
Yep.
all of the common sizes, the 1/8, the 1/4, the 3/8, and right up through the 1/2 inch. There are about 8 or 9 of them that are the ones that stand out. The fractions that you deal with in real life all the time. You might think that that's a linear process, that the 1/4 inch is the smallest, the 1/2 inch is the largest, and so therefore all the prices stair step up. That may be true for the most popular ones, but for all the fractional sizes in between, the 64ths and the 32nds and the 16ths, that there are many of which that fit in between those. Now you're talking about tools that don't get made very often. So from the standpoint of manufacturing, it's not very efficient to make a 33/64ths drill that you're only going to sell, 40 or 50 in a year, versus a 1/4 inch drill where you literally sell millions. So that's one of the things that can impact that pricing. And so folks need to understand it's not just the obvious thing that they're confronted with when they're looking at fractions. It's also the amount of volume that actually takes place and how efficient your manufacturer can be in making them.
Exactly. And if you have a stock, right? Maybe you already say, I wanted to play these and I want to have a stock for those ones. So someone come to me, I'm going to, have those ones delivered tomorrow or today, and it's going to different pricing. So I want to give just very small, example about why this is so fundamental here. And again, we encourage you guys that all that data, it could be extracted from most of people's brain through a collaboration process. All right. So let's talk about the 90-day transformation timeline. So hopefully the finance controllers people in this workshop are going to like this. I work with a lot of CFOs and controllers, and they wanted to know what are the checkpoints. So typically in a project like this, you wanted to have at least 4 checkpoints. The first one is, do we have baseline margin document? That means that what is your leakage. The second thing is, can we start seeing the first margin improvements in week 4, right? Either because you're stopping the weak response, or you are stopping the slow response or the overrides. Week 6, can I talk with someone in sales saying, are you using the pricing? Is the pricing right? If the pricing is working, do you have any pushback? And in week 12, I'm ready to show this to the owner, right? Is this working or not? Do we have a payback and an ROI? So that's kind of the 4 things. And we put this stuff here. We are going to send this to you. But again, I wanted to highlight that this is, in order to get this checkpoint, there is a transformation timeline. You get through a foundation process, you go to an optimization process, and then a validation process, right? And that's what we do. That's what we do for a living. And it works really well for us. Right. So I wanted to summarize so far. We have been going over the leakage process. We have been going over what is important for your customers, what's important for your people. We talk about why projects may fail, what projects may be successful. So let's go back into the whoops and confidence. So what we're going to do here is very easy. We're going to show you how some of the distributors out there, hopefully it's not you, are having to struggle every single day. And we're going to show you what happened when changes are made. All right, Phil. So let's go. 9 a.m. So this is Phil, starting your day. So, share with the audience how this look like.
I think this example probably is most easily applied to your inside sales or your outside sales team, customer facing, where they're dealing with calls and they need to give prices, and they're doing everything they can to get that information together. And then suddenly the customer says, I don't understand why I'm paying this much today when 2 months ago, I paid this much. And so now the team is left to scramble to justify what the change in price is.
Yeah.
Then, you get through the morning, everything's okay. You come back after lunch and your customer calls and says, hey, I've been buying this from you for this price, but your competitor has decided to drop the price. And so now you have to figure out, is this something that we can match? Is this something that we need to let go?
Yeah.
Sometimes people make poor decisions and you can't fall over that cliff with them. But at the same time, if keeping your price under an acceptable margin this one time keeps your customer from going someplace else, it may be worth it. And then
Yeah.
finally, you get to the end of the day and you're thinking, oh man, I have done so many quotes and so many orders today. And I've had this number of complaints and I've had this number that went through very nicely. But do you worry about the ones that went through nicely? Absolutely not. You're always concerned with the complaints and the orders that weren't placed. And you think, okay, what have I done that I could have done differently to get those orders?
Yeah. So if any of your distributorship is like this, definitely this is not a good place where to be, right? And again, these are just examples, right? I wanted to show you that and contrast with people that are actually doing price optimization, right? So the first one at 9 a.m., they confidence, have with the response, right? They have that confidence they're saying, yeah, you know what? This is what happened on the marketing conditions. We, bought this volume. This is stuff we're in stock. I know you bought this 2 weeks ago. We described to you on a price increase, an email sent to you. Again, what do you want me to do with this, right? So they know exactly what's going on and they have confidence on explaining that to them. They are not scrambling through spreadsheets or calling someone. The strategic response, this happened to one of our customers. We're talking with them 2 weeks ago. We did a lot of price, revamping for them. One of the major categories, they found out that the competitors actually were not doing tariff pass-through. They were absorbing that cost themselves. And our assumption is that they wanted to get market share or they wanted to prove something to those customers, right? So instead of panicking response, we talk and say, okay, let's go over that specific product group. Let's narrow down the products that they are doing that. And on those ones, let's see where we wanted to do right now with that specific customer and going forward. And we did it, right? And that makes complete sense for them. They are not scrambling and peace of mind, right? This goes like, yeah, I know that we made our best on the pricing guidance that we have, that we quoted out there. And, if it's working fine and it's not going to work, I know where to look for in order to change, right? So that's kind of the before and after. And again, you guys, that could be something in your workshop is you can go to your inside sales, as Phil said, and you can ask them if they experienced any of this, and that can tell you an idea where you guys are. All right, how to move from there. So the whole idea here is proactive planning. We believe that if you kind of anticipate those market changes instead of reacting to them, which is doing actually price optimization, strategic pricing right now is good proactive planning. You have a strategic focus that you wanted to do. That means that you know where you want it to be with your pricing, with your company, with your gross margin. There is some team confidence they're going to build over time, and then you're going to have instant decisions, right? So these are the benefits, and this is kind of the walkthrough that you can do from that before and after. So that's kind of there. So again, just a summary, we went through the leak calculations. We talk about why this is important for your team in terms of manual work. We talk about why it's important for your customer base. We talk about why maybe you have implemented this in the past, it failed. You can go over that. Also, we can talk what questions you can ask to your customers to know, where you are. And this is the next one that you can do, right, in order to understand, very easy. Ask a very easy quick survey to your inside sales SDRs, and you figure out where you are. All right. So let's talk about we're about wrapping up the workshop, and we wanted to go to this part, which is the strategic capacity unlock, right? So the whole idea here is to describe to you guys that doing this is not just about improving your margin, stop the bleeding, and so forth, but it's going beyond that, which is if you're able to do this, the end goal is that it's a foundation that a free organization to focus on strategic growth, right? And this is a quote from one of our customers right here on the right-hand side, you said. And what we're going to present to you guys basically is where you are locked. We believe you are locked. And what happened when you unlock yourself. So let's go one by one. When you don't have this price optimization in place, you are having a block in operations excellence, right? Because your best people may be trapped in manual work. And that's something that is not scalable. The second one is revenue growth. You can scale without adding people, right? If you don't have that pricing, when you add new products, new branches, you need to do all manually, right? It's impossible to, well, no, you can scale, but it's going to be hard and more expensive. Customer relationships, we already talked about that, which is extremely important, and financial performance, right? You don't have those 2 to 5, percentage, right, in your gross margin that you can reinvest in so many things that you have. So these are the things that you maybe block and something that you guys wanted to consider. So walk us through the immediate unlock opportunities, Phil.
Absolutely. So when you put a process in place with AI in this case, your team now can focus on operational and strategic initiatives instead of the very, very important work of updating pricing and updating costing. That becomes no longer a manual process, but automated or semi-automated. And so the group can now focus on how can we do everything else better. The revenue growth becomes more impactful because now you don't have to add a person for every 100,000 or $1 million of revenue, whatever model you use. And then when you're optimizing the process, you have the machine learning and the AI and the business intelligence working for you all the time. And you can review that at any given moment in time, but you don't have to create a million spreadsheets and try to figure out how to continue to improve. And then finally, the data analytics is the fun part because now you have insights that you can drive decisions going forward.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole idea here is you get a strategically enabled, right? So, I mean, you guys can see the sequence here is you have human capital that is, in full fledged is working as expected, all the talent they can use, the knowledge management, so you can have these expertise systems, and we help you out to build that in the pricing and the inventory side, the market expansion, right, that you can do in technology innovation. Again, so this one wanted to put it out there, right, for the business owners and the strategic thinkers, right, in your business, that I think this is why you wanted to go this direction, right? And at the end of the day, is this pricing foundation is capacity unlock, and it gets you to a strategic growth. All right. So decision point. So you have been listening to us for 49 minutes, and you say, okay, that's great, right? But so what? So we wanted to see if we can, help you, right, to start doing something. All right. So here we go. Let's just explain the status quo, Phil, please, for the audience.
So the status quo for you is what you're doing now. You may or may not have a pricing process. You are probably experiencing accelerated erosion of your margins because all of these volatility indexes between the cost of raw materials, the pricing that you get from many, many, many suppliers, the tariffs, all of those things contribute to delay the actual implementation of the new costs and new prices.
Yep.
Your market approach may or may not have some sort of specificity to it. We like to talk about segmenting your customers and segmenting your products. Your team focus is in jeopardy because you've got older employees who are retiring, and maybe the most talented employees don't see a future with your organization if you don't have some of these technologies, and so they walk away. And finally, 12 months from now, you're actually struggling for survival.
Yeah, so that's one. Systematic competitors, what we have seen is people that use, a power optimization, or they have other optimization, but there's real-time protection that they have. They are doing proactive positioning, they're thinking ahead. The team focus is really strategic, right? So they don't have, the most, not important, the most talented people doing manual work. They can, but that's not the way they do. And they see the improvement, right? So the big question for you is where your company is, right? Is your company on the pricing process manual, is automated, where you are in the leakage? And that's what we're giving you all these different resources through the workshop So you can answer these questions, right? What is your market approach? Is it reactive? That means that you are not talking with your customers and you have a lot of customers that are in that, high visibility, high impact that you don't know what's going on. What is your team focus? Is they frustrated or not? You can ask the questions on the 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. and see how frustrated they are, right? And 12 months, if you are failing behind, you are, ahead of the ball. So again, that's why we're giving you all these different things. And this is the first time that we put this in a workshop. We just wanted to, be different right here. And these were the different, people attending the webinar. So let's start with the CFOs and finance leaders, my friends, right? Which is show me the money, right? Audit. That means is where we can find in your business those, $500,000 where you are bleeding today. We can do this for you, or we can, jump in a call 45 minutes and we can describe to you how you can do it yourself. The second one is for, owner's presence, right? Which is sleep better tonight, consultation. This means same thing, jumping a 45 minutes call, going over this framework with you. We have other information that we can share with you. And you can see if you can sleep better or not, right? Based on this framework. The whole idea is a reality check, and that's what we're going to do in this workshop. Go ahead, Phil.
Absolutely. Well, for folks who do what I do in the sales realm and some of the operational people, this is about beating the competition. So if you can systematize your pricing and systematize the way that you deal with the market, you're less likely to lose customers to your competitors. And obviously, that's the name of the game, grow the business. And at the end of the day, if you are ready to be a decision-ready leader, this 90-day transformation plan gives you the opportunity to get a high adoption rate for the pricing that you need to make the company profitable. And it also gives you the opportunity to optimize your prices at various levels of the consumers, the customers that you have, so that you treat the most important ones the right way, and the ones that are expensive to serve, you have to pay for that service. So
yeah, we know some of you guys maybe are as you are in the same boat that our customers were. Maybe you are afraid about the change because you want to disrupt your relationship with customers. Maybe you have fear about the whole implementation with the technology. Maybe you are unsure about how your team is going to take it. Maybe you have all these fears, questions, and so forth. Talk to us. I mean, we talk with uh, distributors all week long, and again, this is a 45 minutes consultation just to know where you are. And if you like what we do, great. If not, you get a great ideas for us and, you can do in your thing. But the whole idea is to give you the opportunity to stop bleeding, right? That's the whole idea here is like stop. So we have a couple of minutes. Just want to reiterate, what is your best people stock? You can figure it out. The gross margin leak, we already give you that. We have an individualized benchmark report that you can ask us and we can share it. The complexity trap, just figure out your team if you are there. The customer's silent churn risk, same thing. You can do this by yourself. Do you have an adoption engine? We do. Do you have one? If you have it, go ahead. The strategic capacity unlock, that is quite important, and choose your path, right, for that systematic recovery. I mean, an option is not doing anything, but I'm pretty sure you guys are invested 55 minutes here because you want to do something about it here. So let's go to some Q&A. We have a couple of questions here, Phil. All right. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to share it in the channel that we have here. Let me see. We're receiving some of the questions. All right. So I think maybe this question is going to be for you, right? So you mentioned that competitors are implementing systematic pricing solutions right now. Are they working with you? I mean, that's a good question. And if we don't move forward today, what specific competitive disadvantages will we face in 6-12 months? All right, that will be a theme for you, Phil.
Oh, will it now? Obviously, we're in this business to help distribution. When Nelson founded the company, he wanted it to be a blessing for the customers as well as his employees. And so we try to work very hard to give people some actual implementable activities that can improve their pricing. And so
Yeah.
the question really, from the standpoint of can you complete the transformation? Well, you can't complete it if you don't start it. And the biggest danger you face is that your competitors will start before you. So you
Yeah.
want to get started with something, whether it's us or somebody else, so that you begin to understand the changes that are happening in the marketplace.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Phil. The next one that I have here is a little bit long one. You show 85 to 95 adoption rate across your customer base, but we have all seen software implementation fail spectacularly. Okay, that's a strong one. Can you walk us through what specifically happens in the first 30 days that makes or breaks team adoption? And honestly, what percentage of prospects will start with you actually complete the full transformation? Oh, that's okay. So, I mean, I walked through kind of our adoption engine, and what I can tell in the first 30 days is that we know how big is the opportunity. We know if you are ready or not ready for the changes. And more important is that we have a plan, right, on describing what success look like. That's the big difference. If you don't know what success look like, which is going to be different for every company, I think you're going to fail, right? And that's what make it or break it, the team adoption, when you're telling the team what success look like. Uh, what percentage of prospect will start with you actually complete the full transformation? All right. So today we have 80% retention rate and we have 90% adoption rate. That means that we have all of our customers, their sales force, are adopting the prices that we are suggesting to them so they can exceed pretty much what they have. So thank you very much. I think there is another couple of questions out there, but I think we are on top of the hour. So we will be answering these to you guys as they come. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please reach out to us. And again, we'll be sharing this video recording with you guys along with the material so you guys can share it with your team. So thank you very much. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.